This is the Backlog Exposed podcast, bringing you weekly discussions on gaming, as well as quick insights into sports, entertainment, and anything else that we can think of. To get in touch with us, be sure to check out our website, thebacklogexposed.com, where you can find all of our social media details like Twitter, Discord, YouTube, and Facebook.
I'm Joe.
I'm Kevin.
And we are
The Backlog
Exposed.
Now. Gear up and get ready, because this backlog is about to be exposed.
Small town crisis, bruh.
I know, man. Tell him what's up. Tell him what's going on.
I don't even know, man. We had 3 transformers go out. Schools had no electricity. My internet's going up and down like a stripper on a pole. Just kidding. I shouldn't have said that. That was bad.
So, kick us into episode number 33.
Man, episode 33. Good Lord. We've got 33 episodes already. That's awesome. Feels like we've only done 2 or 3, don't it?
It really does. I mean, it's going by pretty quick, ain't it?
Yeah, dude. We've done 33 already, and what is it, December the 17th? Christmas is around the corner. Man, what happened to 2018?
I don't know, man. Hey, I got a question for you.
What up?
You ever hear of the app called Flipboard?
Yes, I have, actually.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool app. I mean, Joe, think about this. With so much content whizzing around out there, there's only one storytelling platform that helps you keep calm and stay informed and inspired. It's called Flipboard. Would you believe it? Flipboard curates the world's stories so that you can be smarter in your work, life, and play. Choose from thousands of topics to personalize Flipboard and get the latest stories from the best publishers and experts delivered to you 24/7. What do you think of that shit, huh?
Hey, man, I got Flipboard on my phone, actually.
Do you?
Yeah, I use it all the time. It's pretty badass. You can customize it to what you want. Like they have gadgets, they have electronics, they have all sorts of stuff, and you can basically go through there, pick what your bests are, what you're more interested in, and then it pops up, and then every day it like updates. One of my buddies at work got me on it, man. He follows gaming a lot, and instead of going to all the gaming forums and all that, he just goes to Flipbook, and literally you go on here, man. It's like when you open it up, it talks about basically what do you want to read about: news, technology, sports, weather. Let's see, computer science. You name it, man. It's all on here. Cool stuff. Home, Fortune 500, gaming.
Well,
that's all I care about.
Can you get a little what's it called? A little
something.
Oh shit! It's not working. My soundbite isn't working.
Oh man!
I tried to set it up.
Left me hanging.
I did. Shit! All right, let's finish this read. So, hey, when you see the stories that you want to save or share, like Joe was just saying, tap the plus button in your app, and you're going to add them to your private or public collections. It's pretty much that simple. Used by millions of people every day, Flipboard is how people move themselves and the world forward. So, to get yourself started, go ahead now to flipboard.com. All right.
Yeah, man, I use it all the time. It's fun.
We're going to pause it right there because I'm going to reread that last part, and I just got to get this shit working here because, you know what? It pisses me off that I didn't have it ready. Nah, we're not going to pause it. We're going to keep going. We're going to roll it. Roll the footage. We're going to keep running. And,
keep going, man. I'm good.
Yeah, I'm going to figure this shit out on the fly. That's how I do it. So Joe.
Hey, man, that's how the professionals do it.
That's how the professionals do it. You think they sit around practicing?
Hell no. No one practices nothing.
No, they don't even. I mean, it's kind of like us in video games. We just jump right in head first, and
jump in head first, give me a Bowie knife, and then 5 people die.
Ace it. We jump in and we ace it. So, hey, gotta tell you some pretty cool shit. I know. You guys, you hear it every week from me, and it's enough. Enough is enough, right? But it's not. We're still a couple days away from Christmas. All right, so we threw a Christmas party over here the other day. And it was pretty awesome. I mean, we had it was my wife's friends and stuff, and they're really good, really cool people. So towards the end of the night, we had a couple stick around, and I let them into the man cave over here to the crazy office that I have, and we pretty much
47 screens and 19 laptops and 4 PlayStations. Yeah, man, I'd call it crazy.
100%. You got it. So so basically, we put them in front of the PlayStation VR, and our friend Lauda, she threw on the headset, jumped into Beat Saber, and she literally didn't stop for like 2 hours. She played Beat Saber till 4 something in the morning. She was so enthralled by it, and it's just that type of game. It truly is, and I know that you might have heard this before, and you might have seen it, and you're like, well, I mean, it looks cool, looks fun. I just don't know what the hoopla is all about. Well, the truth is, it really is that good. I've already had 4 different people come over, and of those 4 people who've come over and tried this thing, every time they're like, all right, I'm getting it. Now, here's the thing, though, with this headset, is that we've always talked about the nausea, and that's what hit Joe with, pretty bad nausea and stuff like that. But the reality is, there are many games that don't do any of that, and Beat Saber is one of them. Like I've been saying the whole time, this stationary games, games where you're not really moving anywhere, you're just kind of in the thing. A lot of games, they call them on rails, and so if it's a game on rails, they're gonna be able to control how sick you will feel. And so most of the time, even the roller coaster ones, the on rails games, you're pretty good. You're good to go. You might get that feeling of that, but you're not going to feel like death has hit your stomach and you don't know what the hell is going on and how to fix it. So that's reserved for some other games where you're in control of everything. You're in control of the movement, the looking around, and all that. And that's the true VR experience that people are really looking for and clamoring for, is the ability to run, to be in another world. So that leads me to the newest installment in my library that I've been playing, and that is Borderlands 2. So Joe, I can't wait for you to try it, because I can't wait to hear what you think of it.
Dude, I was a huge fan of Guitar Hero, and it's the same thing as Guitar Hero, but more in depth, using swords basically.
Oh, this is for.
I mean, I'm down, dude. I'm down
for
to
Beat
try.
Saber, yeah.
It's just I don't want to go spend $200 just to throw up in my living room. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna need you to drive your happy ass up here to Kentucky from Florida, bring the headset, and we'll play the game.
I know, but think of the wife and kids. You know what I mean? What are you depriving them of? You
Bro,
know what I mean? Think
my
about
wife
Leanne.
and my kids are 3/4 crazy right now, right?
I know, but think about it, man. Think about all that Guitar
Dude, I could
Hero
put the
she
headset
played.
on them and let them go in the wild.
Yes,
And I can leave,
teach them a
leave
lesson.
the house and they never know it's gone. Hell
Exactly.
Yeah, good
you could
idea.
teach them a lesson. Say for example, your kid's pissing you off, and you just throw them in Shark Encounter. You know what I mean? Hey, go watch
Shark Hey man, if you survive the shark attack, I'll let you out. What does parenting come to? What do you do for your kid's punishment? Put him in VR, and if he survives the shark attack, he's done his time.
That would be.
Oh my God, you're a monster!
There are some experiences. Jagger's super interested in seeing, but not being a part of the scary stuff. He's at that age. He's 7, almost 8. He's starting to. He's hearing about Slenderman and all that crap at school, and
yeah.
So he wants to be a part of it, and so he made the background on his PlayStation, the Resident Evil Biohazard, theme or whatever. But what's funny about it is, I'm like, you want to play it? No, I don't want to play it. So he's getting there. I remember going to dad, a little bit older than him, crazy enough, and going to, maybe it was 2 years later, because he's in 2nd grade, so I was in 4th grade at the time. I went and saw Nightmare on Elm Street 4. And, hey, we got a special guest with us today, just for a split second.
Oh, this is dying.
Come on over here, mister.
Who's that?
I'm going to give you the headset. You're going to say hi to Joe.
Hi, Joe.
Nope, you have to talk right up in here real good.
Hi, Joe.
What up, dude?
I already got up, so I want to play Mario Kingdom Bound.
Use your words. You can talk. Tell them what you want to play.
I want to play Mario Rabbit's Kingdom Battle.
Bro, you still playing that Mario game? I thought you already beat it 9 times.
I can't because I need Jagger to.
So why don't you tell everybody what you're looking for Christmas? What is the games that you want for Christmas?
Bowser Party 2.
Bowser Party 2.
And,
what's the other game? There's another game I know you want. I think it's...
What?
Tell them.
Lego Incredibles.
Lego
Incredibles, okay.
But Mama said I can't buy it.
Mama said you can't buy it. Boy, your daddy's right there. He's gonna buy it.
I know.
Yeah, that's right. You know.
Yeah.
Make sure you tell Joe to say hi to Kaylee and Caleb for you. Tell them.
Hi. Can you tell me to say hi for me for Kaylee and Caleb?
I sure will, buddy.
All right. Say goodbye to everybody. Say I'll talk to you later.
I'll talk to you later.
Bye, buddy.
No, not in here. Okay, I'm gonna finish recording my podcast. All right. All right.
Bro, he sounds so much older.
He is. He's normally a little bit clearer talking, but he just woke up from a nap kind of late here because he's been a bit knocked. Jagger's sleeping, bud.
Hey, man, while I'm thinking about it, going back to Flipbook, now that you brought it to my attention.
Flipboard.
Or I said Flipbook. Flipboard. The app, man, it's pretty badass. Like I just go through gaming, honestly. You have to pick 3 when you first sign up, but I just pick whatever. But I mainly go for gaming, and one of the articles on here, if I could frickin' talk, maybe I just go to bed, is the best video games of 2018. And of course, number 1's God of War.
Really?
Red Dead made the list at number 2, and Spider-Man made 3, and then it just keeps on going down the list, man. But I thought that was pretty interesting that God of War made first. I mean, I knew that game was going to be something,
well,
dude.
Did you see it won the Game of the Year at the Video Game Awards?
Oh yeah, of course. I knew it would.
Oh yeah.
I told you that a long time ago.
Little bit of something.
I mean, that's what that game's all about.
You know it.
I finally got it working.
I told you, man, that was going to win Game of the Year. I mean, come on, dude. You can't. There's no game out there that could top that right now. That thing was so impressive.
Yeah, the couple that I had over here that we had we were talking about it, and I was telling them the game that the game that is on my list next, because they're playing Red Dead Redemption right now, and they echoed your comments and said, yeah,
dude, it's slow. I can't do it.
Well, not that part. They're loving Red Dead, but as far as in terms of what game I should play next, they said, yeah, I mean, we're in the middle of Red Dead, but you got to go play God of War. It's that good. So that is it. I mean, Spider-Man, I'm close, but I put it down for a little bit because one, I was playing through Diablo still. Diablo's a hell of a game. I gotta say, I got it for like $20, I think, on sale with the expansion pack. And I know this is a last generation game, but not to dive too deep into something so old, but they remastered it for the newer generation. It's a hell of a game. It's really, really good quality from a gameplay standpoint. And they have mastered the ability to go in and out of levels and stuff. So, for example, Jed will jump on and he's like, "Hey, you playing?" And I say, "Sure." Within a minute, we're in the middle of a match, like a round together, and we can seamlessly go in and out of each other's worlds. You know, we can do a mission or whatever, a quest in his world under his level, whatever level he wants to do, and they have like 20 different, difficulties and all that. Like there's a ton of difficulties, and then immediately back out and then go do mine. And it's like the going from scene to scene takes 1 second. Literally, for him to join my game after loading Diablo 3, he can be in my game and I can see him in my game playing within 10 seconds. There is no buffering, there is no loading. It's just crazy. So I gotta say, it makes it easy to play that game, and they also allow power leveling to the ridiculous level. Like the other day we were playing, and he jumped in and he started just running through a dungeon with me, but he ran ahead. He's a bit faster, and dude, I was getting levels every 10 to 15 seconds for like 2 straight minutes. I went up from level, I think it was 18, and we played for 10 or 15 minutes in that dungeon, and I was level 50 something by the time we got out of that dungeon. It was going so fast that the pictures and the overlays that kept saying you have leveled, you have progressed, were so far behind. I was like 7 or 8 levels past what the screen kept telling me I was. So, and some people like that. You don't have to power level, right? You could obviously tone it down and choose not to do that, but he's trying to get me up to the level I'm at. And I created a second character just to whatever, mess around, see what that was all about. But anyways, that's really, I haven't had much time for gaming this week. I have been watching some stuff. I do want to talk a little bit about Fortnite just because there's a big shift in what I'm seeing. not necessarily. It's not over. Fortnite's not dead. I'm not going to be talking about that. All right, so it looks like we lost Joe here. So what I'm going to do is just give you one last little treat here, so you can hear his lovely voice.
3 hours.
All right. So, Joe, you got any last little bits you want to say before you head out?
I like this blue ball. It's nice, man. I'm Joe. Yeah.
All right, man. Hey, give us a little bit of something before you got to go.
Little bit of something.
Okay. Cool. All right, man. Hey, been good talking to you. Thanks for being here. I'm going to dive into a little bit of Fortnite talk since we don't have you here to talk about what you got. So, all right. So, real quick, the other day they had the finale of the Winter Royale, and I didn't get the chance to really talk about this on the last episode, but I really wanted to. And one of the things about the Winter Royale is Fortnite put together this tournament that was actually open to all the public, the general public, not just the streamers and the hand-selected people that they chose to be part of this. And so what was interesting about all of this is they still had a lot of the streamers make it. Now, obviously, streamers do really good. They get a lot of views because they're really good. So it was pretty apparent that many of them would make it to the semifinals and whatnot. So you had Ninja, you had Aiden in there, you had Vivid, you had Ninja. There was a bunch of high-profile streamers, but a couple of them didn't make it. A couple of really high-profile streamers didn't make it, like Tfue and whatnot. So you had this finale, and long story short, if you're familiar with the current state of Fortnite, they had a map change in the middle of all this. So the event went over the course of 2 or 3 weeks, and so almost a month ago was when I was playing in the satellite matches to try to get in. I didn't even come close. I didn't really have time to play though, because it was like over the course of 3 or 4 hours. Get as many points as you can. And I don't have that. I mean, I have an hour here, an hour there, 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there, which is why, unfortunately, gaming is so hard sometimes to complete when you have, Spider-Man and all this stuff to do, and then you have real stuff on the outside. So, anyways, long story short, they introduced a catastrophic and large map change between when everyone auditioned or earned their spot into the qualifiers, and then they had the North American, whatever it's called, the finale, the semifinals, and then the finale last week. So the semifinals got introduced at the same time, or during the introduction of the semifinals was the introduction of a sword, the Infinity Blade. Now, Epic Games created a mobile app called the Infinity Blade, I think it was, a couple years ago, and this was reminiscent, it's the same sword that was in this game, and it was a pretty strong sword. And I'm not going to go into all the fine details about the perks and all that in the game. It was ridiculously overpowered, and just instinctively, it looked fun. Like watching people use it, it looked fun to be able to go in and use this and play with it and everything. If I were to be able to get it, but the challenge of being the one to get it in the match. Now, mind you, you get one of these blades in the match, per match. The person who gets it gets like 400 health. Their health regenerates along the way. Just so many, there's so many perks. And they're not invincible because they can be killed, but they have regenerating double health, fully shielded and everything. So everyone clamoring for this sword lands at the top of the new mountain that's there. There's a new snowy area, and it's like Sword in the Stone. You got to pull it out of the stone. It takes about 10 seconds to pull out of the stone, and if you get it, you are pretty much invincible at that beginning point of the game because people are still just landing and looting up. But while you're trying to get it, there's 7 or 8 other people trying to get you, and they're hacking you with their pickaxes. So you can die nearly instantly if you're the one going first, because all it takes is like 5 hits with a pickaxe and you're out, you're dead. So the beginning of the game is weird with this sword. Now you add in the flying, and you add in all that shit, and Joe, you there?
I'm back, baby.
I hear you.
Man,
I was getting into it too.
My bad, dude. Didn't mean to break
No,
the
no.
concentration. I'm
No,
back.
it's good.
Let's go.
No, it's good. You're right. You came in at the right time. So I'm talking about. I'm going to do a quick recap because Joe's back, and I'm not even going to edit it. I'm leaving this in there so you all hear it double time because it's fucking bullshit. So Fortnite had this tournament called Winter Royale. Winter Royale started several weeks ago. Anybody could have made it in. Obviously, there were age ranges and things that they allowed, but at the end of the day, Jagger played in the tournament. I played in the tournament. I'm sure Caleb and Kaylee played in the tournament. And if you got enough points, you'd make it. So it came down to the final 400 people in America, whittled it down to the final 200 people in North America. Same for Europe. And last week, you had the finales of the best 200 players in the world, right, or in America. And the day that they had this thing, they introduced the map change that came with the new Infinity Blade sword. And just a week prior, you had the planes added to the map, and you added zip lines all over the map.
Yeah.
So you have all these mountains, and every mountain now has a zip line. You can go up and down the zip line, which is really fucking weird. I don't think you should be able to go up it. But
I don't know, man. I think Fortnite's getting a little bit out of hand with all these damn updates. I mean, they would update before, one map change or one weapon change. Within a matter of 2 weeks, they've added planes and infinity blades and zip lines, and it's getting crazy.
Well, that's what I was going to be jumping into. Is like in this update here, I was excited for season 7 because I'm always like interested to see what this game's going to bring. It's so different than most games because it's just this consistent change and evolving process, and I like it. I like it, but I don't like every change. But I like the idea, the concept.
Yeah.
And I like watching it. Still to this moment, I like watching people play it. For some reason, it's got my attention still. But so the day of the finals came, the semifinals, and that fucking Infinity Blade was so overpowered in these semifinals. You have professionals running around. All the professionals could not believe that this thing was going to be allowed into the final tournament. For $1 million, we have the $1 million tournament. Now, granted, it's $1 million spread over Europe and North America, so it was $500,000 divvied up amongst the North Americans. But still, you have the best 100 players in the world, or in America, and now you have this sword. And what happens is, anyone who got it, now they're literally able to jump over mountains, jump through every building that's in their way. They just jump you can jump across tilted towers and go about halfway up the tallest building. That's how high you can jump with this thing. And you just soar through the buildings. Along the way, anything you touch as you're soaring through the air gets collected as resources. So you're double life. You can jump with this blade super far. You can build with it, which is crazy. And no one knows where you are on the map. Like when you had the Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah, I think it's funny. I think it's funny because
it is funny.
Everybody was so pumped about Thanos and blah blah blah, and then as soon as Thanos came out, or they started using, he's overpowered. We need to nerf him, and then all of a sudden,
but that was a mode. That was a mode, where you didn't have to play that.
I get it. They jumped the gun when it come to the fact that it was a tournament and all that stuff. But at the same time, man, it's adapt and overcome, dude. I mean, if
sure.
they got something, there's a way you can kill him. Figure it out.
No. I get you there. And there's two sides to the story. I've heard it talk on different podcasts where people are saying what you're saying, like, you know what, stop bitching. It's the way that it is. And a lot of the times that's how I feel. I think on this, because here they are, they grab the best. They use this real process where anybody could have made it. And then on the day of this tournament, no one has practice. And granted, nobody.
Yeah, that's the only thing that I don't understand why they did it the day of the damn tournament. Now, if this thing was through the tournament, it's one thing.
Yes, if the tournament started with it. But at this point, it's an economy, right? So, yes, Epic Games is not responsible for streamers' income, right? The streamers can go stream whatever they want. The streamers can go play Call of Duty or whatever. Like, they are not relying on... the Fortnite is not relying on the streamers to make money, but at the same time they are, because it wouldn't be as big if it didn't start with the people like Ninja and what's his name, Summit, and all these different guys who actually tried this game out while they were playing other games that they enjoyed. So it goes hand in hand. But here's where I do have a problem is Fortnite wants to be this esport king. They're obviously doing making a lot of moves to do that. They have hundreds of millions of dollars invested in esports and tournaments and things. They're making billions and billions of dollars. They're not going anywhere because they do have a cornerstone right now. They can fix things overnight. They can make people happy overnight. They could turn around and give everyone 1,000 V-Bucks and everyone, the whole entire community would shut up. You know, you'd have people bitching there too, but you know what I'm saying? Like, if they wanted to squash the fury, they could. And they took out the Infinity Blade after it was all said and done, but that Infinity Blade was an unfair piece of the tournament that actually implicated the quality of what Fortnite can provide in an esports league. Not in a general public. I saw a couple
of the videos where a couple of the matches was won because of the Infinity Blade.
100%. I mean, the Infinity Blade caused things that would never have happened to happen in the game. For example, it can cut right through metal walls and kill you. And so, you had this one guy, Vivid. He's a streamer that I watch quite a bit, and he bitches a lot about this stuff. He's one of those guys who's like, I can't believe we can't play stretch res, and I can't believe you added this. But this guy is good. He's a really good player, and he plays cautiously. He plays, methodical. He does the same thing, and he's really good. And he's just such a good shooter and everything. Like, his aim is good. So this guy got himself prepared for the end game. He worked his way into the end game. He hadn't secured any points yet, and while other people already had 6 or 7, he was preparing for the win. He's gearing up. And out of fucking nowhere, this guy was turtled up in a metal box deep inside these walls he made, and out of nowhere, a guy just jumps through the wall, instantly kills him, and his tournament is over. And then the guy just jumps away and goes along the merry way, and he makes it to like the top 4, the guy with the Infinity Blade. And a couple of times, the guy with the Infinity Blade didn't even make it didn't win, or didn't even make it to the top 10. Only a few, but almost every game it had implications. It took out people who you would have expected to do better. And that's where the thing, it goes from being an esport, if you're going to let that stuff happen, to being a game of chance, like blackjack. And here's the kicker. You can be good at blackjack, and you can make the right moves at blackjack, but at the end of the day, the dealer could get 21 right off the gate, and you can't, and you don't, and you lose, unless you've played that second card or whatever. But if this is going to be a gambling game, that's a different thing. Now, I know it's one time. I know this is just the first, but they do these changes on the fly quite often. You saw in one of the tournaments where, they did map changes where the gravity effects were whatever, and then all of a sudden in the middle of this tournament, everybody started floating through the sky, and they couldn't fall to the ground. It was nuts, and they were shooting each other in the sky. No one had any clue what was happening. It was actually a defect, it wasn't supposed to happen. And so my whole point on this is, if you want to be serious, now they're serious when it comes to money, but if you want to be serious in the long term, if you want to be a sport that people risk their livelihood on, I mean, the Vivid isn't playing any other game. He has the chance to, he has the opportunity to, but Tom Brady could go play baseball too. He plays football. And if tomorrow they were like, by the way, the football's made of lead, that's the kind of curveballs that they're throwing in here. Once out of every 10 times, that ball is a bomb, and whoever receives it might blow up. It's like, they're fucking with people, and it's not cool to fuck with people when you're a multi-billion-dollar company. The people who you're fucking with know you're fucking with them, and that's my point. And all the streamers got very, very upset because they feel like cannon fodder and toys as opposed to their clients, the people that are making them their money. If it wasn't for all of these streamers collectively, the thousands and thousands, Fortnite would be, it would dissipate pretty quick. And it has a huge base. The kids don't care if the Infinity Blade impacted, and that's the problem. Fortnite is catering to the kids. It's catering to that, but sometimes something happens that's so impactful that they step back, and they did step back. They took the Infinity Blade out after the fact, and they said, "We're sorry. We didn't really anticipate the backlash like this. We thought, we didn't do our research like we should have." And then some people praised him for that, and other people didn't. But my gut feeling, and we've talked about this quite a bit, is, I've thought of myself as being addicted to this game, where I feel like I've got to get in there and play it just to keep up and all that. Like, I just wanted to. And I think we just lost Joe, but in the reality for me, I'm no longer addicted to it. I don't need to play it. I still watch it. I still enjoy watching it because I like it. But I'm not clamoring to go out and play a game of football. I like watching football. So I'm torn. I'm torn on seeing that they're able to do this and screw people over. And I consider it screwing people over because there's people who are going out spending tens of thousands of dollars on gaming equipment, on whatever. But they're doing it under the impression that they have a chance and that their skill would dictate that chance. There is always the off chance that there's someone better. There is always some off chance that there's, a situation that could get in front of you. But, Nate Hill, one of the guys who was playing in the tournament, got screwed over by the redeploy glitch. They randomly, out of nowhere, right before the tournament, they introduced redeployment to everybody. And this was a month or two ago. And so you could jump off of a mountain and redeploy your glider and float down. And he was using that that tactic, and it glitched out and just crashed and burned and died in the middle of the end of the tournament. And he placed in the top 4, but he could have potentially won the whole thing. And we're talking the difference between $50,000 or $100,000. So I'm a firm believer that Epic has the right to be as I think they absolutely have the right to be doing what they're doing, but I also think that there's going to have repercussions. I know myself, I'm not as interested in jumping in. Maybe soon I won't be interested in watching it. I hate the planes. I hate having the planes in there. I absolutely, I don't even want to play the game because the planes are in there. Not interested in the planes. I think that absolutely fucking destroys what Fortnite is all about. They don't blow up the second they touch something. I would expect if you hit a building with the tip of your wing for that thing to crash, but it takes the buildings out. You've got a floating gun turret that's nearly invincible. I mean, it's got way too much power, way too much health, and it's the stupidest thing I've ever seen introduced to Fortnite. The planes and the Infinity Blade are just absolutely, I have zero desire to go in and be a part of that. If it were a limited mode, that's a different story. I would absolutely go in and try it, but I would go back to the main game, or I'd go back to some of the other game types that they had, just like they did with Fortnitemares. Now, I had a different feeling about Fortnitemares. I liked what they did because of the event, because of the holiday. It was a limited thing, but I get where people were pissed off that they put that in, the tournaments. I think the esports league should never, ever be so volatile like the main game. There should be 2 separate levels of what they do. There should be we're talking, how we have a playground mode. I think for sure Epic should have a playground mode for us. Let us private users be the cannon fodder, so to speak, and you let the professionals play the base game that hardly ever changes. Maybe it gets one major update a season, but I don't think that they should have huge changes. We're talking 8 to 10 weeks, per season. It's not like these seasons are years. So maybe 2, maybe at the beginning of every season and midway through every season, the esport servers have changes, and those changes are rolled out to the esport community so that they're aware of what's coming well in advance, so they can prepare for it. That's my opinion. In an effort to keep it legit. That's also coming from a guy who loves craziness. I loved the XFL when it came out 20 years ago. It was a spin-off of the NFL, and Vince McMahon, who, the WWF guy, he made a football league, and it was crazy. There was a lot of crazy things that they did differently, and it was football, but it was a little bit different football. But here's the reality, right? People didn't love it. They liked it. They tuned in, but they didn't love it. And eventually, XFL went away. And that one went away pretty quick. The reason I bring up the XFL is because I think on Wednesday, we're going to have my boy Jerry. He's going to be in talking about some of the newest revelations around the XFL. And we're going to talk football. We're coming down to the end of the football season, so it's definitely time for some football recap, see where we're at. And I think Wednesday or Thursday of this week will be a good time to get into that discussion. But I also bring it up because, just like anything, things come and go. Now, you could call out a couple of brands, a couple of products that have stuck around forever. Diablo's one of them, right? I mean, we're talking 5 years after Diablo 3 release. It's still solid, still selling, still $60. But Disney, all these major motion companies. I think when you make it to a certain point financially, you can sustain for a very long period of time, even through huge faults, because you have the money. And you can say, oh well, what about Paragon? Well, that was before Epic Games had Fortnite. Epic Games was a huge beast, huge monster, but it still had failing games. It still retired games pretty much. It still retired. We talk about the Unreal Engine, but when's the last? I mean, Unreal. You'd think I would have thought 15 years ago that Unreal would have been the game rolling out new games every year. Not necessarily Call of Duty. 15 years ago, yeah, I would have said Call of Duty's decent. That's an up and comer, but this Unreal Tournament, I could see Unreal Tournament 3 and 4 and 5 and 6, and instead they went and built the engines, and now everyone else is using those engines. So Epic Games has always had the money for quite some time, but now they have fuck you money. There's a huge difference. With that comes more liability. The stuff you put out, you have to stick with it or you drop it. So Paragon, done, right? I'm surprised Save the World isn't gone out of Fortnite, but at the same time, it's doing something. It's given them the ability to test things in the public eye, like I was just talking about. Because in the Save the World, there's dozens more guns. There's dozens more types of characters. Not dozens. There's 4 different types of characters, but there's lots of different features that each of those characters has. They have different tools and different things that they can do. And little by little, they're implementing some of those things into the main Fortnite Battle Royale game. But Save the World has a lot of positive things. It's a fun game to play if it has a point. And so they're still building the storyline out there and stuff. They're making the people happy. Obviously, it's doing them something, getting them enough money to keep it sustainable. But the fuck you money comes along, and they don't want to. They don't need to make you happy. They don't care about that Infinity Blade pissing the people off, because they're at the end of the day, they're going to be just fine. But it's just that's the problem, right? And I think that it sucks. Just like microtransactions in games suck, and pay to win sucks. But what can you do? We can revolt. We can talk about it online. They did do something right. They changed things. They took the Infinity Blade out. My opinion, they need to give back to the people who have helped get them there. They need to redo that tournament. I'm not saying take the money away. I'm not saying take the money away from the people that were there. But those, 200? Those 200 North American players, they should have another tournament for just those 200. Because amongst those 200 players were regular people that weren't pros, that got fucking destroyed over that because of that Infinity Blade, who had earned their spot into that thing and didn't even have a chance to prove themselves, because immediately they were cut down by that blade, or they were going for the blade because they wanted to have their moment and were pickaxed to death. I mean, it's just stupid that was even introduced. So that's my 20-minute spiel on Fortnite and the state of Fortnite and what they should do. I totally want to see the game continue to do good, make big strides, but until they do, as of right now, I'm just going to say I'll be beating these other games that I got to play. So to recap, Fortnite's current state kind of sucks right now. Beat Saber sells VR systems. PS3 and Vita games starting next month are no longer going to be included in PlayStation Plus free games. I think that's going to mean VR content. They're not going to reduce it. They can't come out and be like, hey, we're only doing 2 games a month now. No, because they got to compete with Xbox. So I can imagine another indie game and a VR game. It's time. There's enough VR games out there. There's 80, 90, 100 VR games to choose from that are of quality that they could pick. And a lot of them are super cheap. With this huge sale that just is going on right now, the holiday sale, thousands of games are on sale. It's a perfect time to, pick 4 or 5 of those, and over the next 4 or 5 months, throw a VR game out. I think that would do wonders for VR, for the VR community. People would start seeing that Sony's for real. If they guarantee a VR title every month, it's only one, and they have plenty out there. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Now, recent additions to the backlog. Let me think. I don't know if I talked about it last week, but I did add Far Cry 5. I think I might have said something there. And Mario Party Switch and Super Mario Smash Brothers Ultimate But those can't be opened up until the big guy with the white beard shows up. I did add Knack 2, but not to my library. I gave that to my kids. So earlier you heard Wesley talking. He mumbled a little bit about Knack, and he likes playing Knack. And so he's playing some Knack 2. He's actually 4 years old, getting through some of this stuff, and it's interesting to watch. I love it. Let's see. What else do we want to talk about here? I don't want to go too much longer. I was telling Joe I need to finish up Spider-Man. God of War's next on the list. I'm currently doing Diablo 3 along the way. It's my go-to. I'll probably slow it down a little bit on that once Jed's gone. He's moving in February probably. So the rest of December and January I'll definitely be playing some Diablo 3. I'm having a lot of fun with it, and I can see it sustaining for a little bit. So, but in addition to that, for VR, Resident Evil 7 still on the list. I'm going to jump back into that once I have time. I've had a hard time sleeping lately. So, when you get 4 hours of sleep a night, that really changes the quality of the VR. It really does. If you're tired playing VR, you don't have as good of an experience, and that's the truth. It sucks, when you have a cold. VR sucks when you're angry. Maybe VR can help with that, but you just want to say fuck it. I don't want to put this thing on right now. So I want to go in and kill people in Fortnite or something. But you got to get some good sleep. You got to get this and that, and then you got to dive into the games that make you feel good. That's what I'm trying to teach my son. You got to play the games that make you feel good. If the game isn't making you feel good, you shouldn't be playing it. And I'm a firm believer in that. Whenever a game frustrates me too much, that's why I'm staying away from Fortnite right now. As much as I want to be progressing and getting the skins and blah blah blah, I'm hoping within the next couple of weeks they'll have that game back in a state that I'm going to enjoy it. So I can enjoy what I normally get in there and play with. But I guess the last thing I want to talk about here is I brought the family out to see Wreck-It Ralph 2. And I've been talking about Wreck-It Ralph 2 for quite some time, and we haven't had a chance to get out and see it. We had the Movie Pass. Movie Pass blew. I hate Movie Pass. I hate what it did to our thought process on that. But I had a lot of fun when I could with Movie Pass. But I hate how they manipulated the system and basically took people's money after guaranteeing certain services. So I've just kind of stayed away from the theater for a while, but we went and saw Wreck-It Ralph 2, and I gotta say, one of the better animated movies I've ever seen. I love Wreck-It Ralph 1. I think this topped it. I do. And the reason I think it topped it was they did not duplicate the jokes, the theme, anything. They didn't duplicate part 1. This was an entirely different movie. A lot of these Toy Stories or whatever, they do a good job of continuing the story without diving too far back, but this one nailed it. There was you didn't feel like you were watching the first one at any moment in this movie. It just felt like another movie, but it was top quality. And so the story was good, the new characters were good, there was a lot of laughs. I like what they did by bringing it out into the quote-unquote internet. The only weird part, which I didn't hate, was the bad guy. If you watch it, you'll see. The bad guy was kind of a hypothetical thing, not there was no evil villain. And I thought it was rendered kind of weird and stuff. I thought it looked cool, but I don't know. There's always a point to the Ralph movies, make you feel good or whatever, make you think a little bit. That whole I'm bad, but that's okay. That whole thing from part 1, they do that. They don't do that, but they do another one. It's about friendship, and what does it mean to be a friend? And in a time where I have friends scattered all over the country and eventually here all over the world, it hits home a little bit, makes you think. My buddy, I've known him since I was my kid's age, and it sucks that he's moving away, but it's a modern day. It's okay. It really is okay. It's okay he's going to do his thing, and it's okay that I'm going to be here, because there's a lot of ways that we can stay connected. So yeah, it's just in a time where it's very easy to get angry. It's very easy to whatever. I like seeing movies like this that make you bring it back and think. A lot of times things seem to things that get emotional or whatever tend to hit you. When they say you get dumped by your girlfriend, and then on the way home every song on the radio happens to be like in reference to that, you realize that how often this really happens, just in general. Like, there's so many things to look at that you're going to relate something to something. There's a weird thing that happens to me all the time where if I'm driving or something and I'm listening to the radio, I'll look at a billboard, and the word on the billboard, at the second I look at it, is the same word that comes out of the mouth of the person or people or song that I'm listening to on the radio, and I find that to be kind of odd. But like, I look at thousands and thousands and thousands of words a day, and when you're listening on the radio, you're listening to thousands and thousands and thousands of words. And so you can take ironic situations like that and call it out and say, whoa, the world is so weird. Or you can look at the law of numbers here. I like to think about cool stuff like that, but at the same time, I'm a realist, and I know it's just the law of numbers. So with the law of numbers means it's almost time to go. So with that, my little parting words of wisdom or whatever, I don't think it's wisdom, but it's more of just thought. It's okay, it's okay. Those are some seriously good words from your podcast hostess with the mostest. I wish Joe were here to hear him. He's cutting in and out. He's got a lot of issues with his internet in his little rinky-dink town of Kentucky. I call Kentucky a town because I haven't been convinced it's a state yet. So if you're from Kentucky and you think you're a state, why don't you go let us know how you feel about it on our Discord, our website, our Facebook page. You can yell at us on Twitter, and you can get all that information at the backlogexposed.com. In addition to the backlogexposed.com, which is our website, if I haven't told you about that already, you can check out teamemargaming.com. And I just spent a good couple of hours helping Joe out. I redesigned the Team Emar Gaming website, and it's pretty badass. So you're going to want to check it out. It has little quick blurbs about each of the people that are quote-unquote Team Emar, in addition to how you can contact them, and some cool, there's always some cool advertising, and so Joe gets these deals so that if you're going to buy something, check out his website down the bottom. If you go through those links, yeah, sure, he'll get a little cut, but the reality is you'll get discounts. So, don't just go haphazardly buying shit. Think about it before you buy it. And if you want to help out the podcast, you want to help out Joe, go through those links at the bottom of teamemargaming.com. I'll probably get them over on the bottom of backlogexposed.com as well. But with that, I will wrap up this podcast and say thank you all for listening. I didn't get into Borderlands 2 VR. I have played it, but with Joe being MIA for some of this, I want to wait to talk to him about it because he is the Borderlands 2 guy. So as I played a little bit, I've enjoyed it, and I want to talk about it. So we'll hit that next week. I think we're going to have a midweek episode. We're going to have Jerry on, like I was saying earlier. We're going to talk some XFL and things like that. If he doesn't come on this week, we'll have him next week. We'll probably have Jason on this week. He's been super interested in getting involved in the podcast. And so, with all that said, I'm Kevin.
I'm Joe. Little bit of something. Yeah. I like this blue ball. It's nice, man.
3 hours later.
And I got to get myself a little bit of a couple more sound bites from Joe. I'm Kevin, because that's all I got. But everybody, thanks again. Till next time, you be good. And you have a Merry Christmas if we don't talk to you before then. We will. But you know how it is.